I'll argue with anyone who says that they don't have a superpower because I think everyone does. Grab something to write with, take notes, because we're about to go on your hero's journey. Welcome to the community learning opportunity for Bounce Back Generation. Our goals are to provide information to help you feel good, learn more, and bounce back from tough times. Please consider seeking mental health services if you need more individualized support. We at Bounce Back Generation always reach out to trusted people when we need help. Did you grab something to write with? You'll see this symbol as we go along. And remember, what you write down is for you only, for your information only. No one needs to see it. Today, what we're going to learn is the power of mythology to understand our own life and reveal your own special superpower. We're going to learn how trauma is part of our human origin story. We're going to look at an outline of the life stages that we go through from trauma to resilience. And we'll do some activities to help you discover your own journey and where you are in realizing your superpowers. And at the end of this presentation, we'll have some resources so you can see where we got our information and our science. Okay, here's a question for you. Think about your favorite hero, if you have one, and they can come from a mythological story or an anime, and write down in your notes or in the comments who your favorite character is and at least one characteristic you appreciate or can relate to besides their superpower. So I like Iron Man, and one of the things I like about him is he's kind of funny. I like T'Challa because I think he's really handsome. So things like that aren't related to their superpower. If you're using the comments, just remember that this space is for learning, inclusion, respect, and healing. You're always welcome to provide feedback for us as Bounce Back Generation on our community learning opportunities. We'd really love to hear your feedback. But please be kind to each other in the comments. Thanks. So here's an introduction to your hero's journey. The best stories have some of the following elements. Superheroes are born from adversity. Some kind of trauma or terrible event sets them off. That's usually where they get started. The story starts. They protect their vulnerability by hiding and keeping secrets. There's something that threatens them despite having their superpowers. They reach out for help, usually to someone to help them figure out how to learn how to use their superpowers. Fully owning their superpower takes a lot of work. That's usually where you see the montage scenes of them working and trying to figure out how their powers work. And they don't fully come into power until they are ready to help other people. So this community learning opportunity is about something called trauma-informed care, which is an area of study that is really growing. And we know that trauma affects our brains and bodies, leading to emotional and physical responses that can result in illness, cause emotional pain, and really prevent us from realizing our truest potentials. So this community learning opportunity is to help you realize how past adversity and the ongoing stress of our modern times may be preventing you from realizing your full superhero potential. And let's learn how. So just a content warning, we do our best to avoid highly traumatizing descriptions, but some stories or some of our teaching moments may reference experiences of trauma that may be triggering for some individuals. Each of us has meaning and we bring it to life. This is a quote by Joseph Campbell, who is the author of The Hero with a Thousand Faces, and he was a professor of comparative religion and studied mythology all of his life. He helped to promote the concept of the mythological journey and its relationship to our modern lives. And he's also credited with helping George Lucas to create Star Wars as a heroic journey. So what does that mean that each of us has meaning and we bring it to life? It's that whatever our meaning is, we're the ones who infuse it with the actions that bring it to life. And superheroes are really great because they give us symbols for real life. A symbolic perspective can help us see ourselves and our lives more objectively, like flying over our life journey and getting a sense of what's going on from a different perspective. So, how does a superhero myth function? Myths are stories of common human experiences. What we learn from myths is that there's kind of a map for what is happening to us now, that mythology kind of lets us know that someone has been here before. Someone has gone through this too, even if it's just a story. So, here's some common myths. We have superhero myths, we have Greek myths of gods and mortals, and we have modern myths like Star Wars, Harry Potter, animes, or manga. Modern myths give us archetypes, and archetypes are just examples that have been shown to be pretty good imitations of real life, even if they're extraordinary and overblown. So here's a superhero story simplified. So superheroes usually have some kind of origin story. And there's something that's unique or hidden or unknown, sometimes even to them, actually, most of the time, even to them, until they reach the point where they find a sidekick or a mentor, someone that helps them to discover what's hidden and unknown, and particularly their powers. Then they inevitably come upon some kind of kryptonite, and kryptonite is just a symbol for the thing that stops them from exhibiting their powers or using their powers or weakens them. But at some point, they overcome the kryptonite, or at least recognize that they need to stay away from it, and their superpower becomes revealed. Now, that's after a lot of hard work and figuring it out and flying around and bumping into things and falling down and getting it wrong. And then when they have reached the point where they fully are into their superpower, they then turn to discovering who it is that they're going to help. Who do they save? What do they do with those superpowers? So superheroes are born from adversity, and they become heroes when they recognize how their adversity affects them. And they work to overcome that adversity by learning who they are, healing to the best of their abilities, conquering whatever it is their kryptonite, and then using the powers they gain to help other people. In our world, we might call that thing that gets us started on our own journey a trauma or a terrible event. And that's anything, any kind of experience or incident or a series of events that are emotionally disturbing, that could be life-threatening, but they have lasting adverse effects on our mental, physical, social, emotional, and or spiritual well-being. It's also known as a trauma. So how do we relate this terrible event from a superhero story to our own lives? Well, we also have terrible events and things that are traumatic that happen to us. And I'm just breaking it down into personal things that happen to us personally, and then things that happen to us as a group. So things that can happen to us personally are like being bullied, or having someone abuse us physically or emotionally, or yell at us all the time, having a household where our parents are divorced or separated, having someone really important to us die. These are often called adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. Then there's another type of trauma that can happen to us, and that's more of a group trauma. So think of things like a natural disaster that might hit your town, or war or terrorist activity. Anything that makes us separated, like you're an immigrant, or racist activities, those are also traumatic. And COVID has been a traumatic event that we've all shared in. So let's review again the stages of a superhero. They have an origin story. Something that's unique about them is hidden or unknown to them or to others. They eventually find a sidekick friend or a mentor who can help them discover more about their powers. They encounter their kryptonite and they have to overcome it. They then spend a lot of time and do a lot of work to reveal their superpower, and then they discover who it is that they're going to save. Okay, so let's take out your pen and paper, whatever you're going to write with, and let's look at your origin story. The origin story typically begins with a traumatic event that challenges us to cope. So Superman, his planet exploded, he was sent to Earth alone. Batman saw his parents attacked and killed. Spider-Man, his parents died at a young age. Luke Skywalker was orphaned and raised by his aunt and uncle, and he didn't know the truth of who he was. So, do you have any traumas or terrible events that you're grappling with now? They don't have to necessarily be from childhood. They could just be something that's happened to you now that you're having to deal with. And COVID is something that we're all having to deal with. So, that's an example of a shared trauma that you may be grappling with, the aftermath of it or the continuance of it. And just take a few moments to write that down. And you can always put the video on pause if you need more time. So, what is hidden? For many superheroes, their uniqueness and special powers are hidden either from themselves and almost always from the rest of the world. And for many of us, we may have been raised to hide what is great about us, or we may just not know, or we hide how we feel about things that happen that are our terrible event. For many superheroes, they may not even be aware of how their life was affected by the terrible event, so the effects remain hidden. And also their own superpowers, of course. So are you hiding a reaction to something, a unique capability, or a dream that you have? Go ahead and write that down. And by the way, you see these little symbols with the little person with the heart in it and the hands with the house? Those are going to be revealed later on what those are about. If you know about our 6 building blocks of resilience, those will be familiar to you. If not, we'll explain it at the end. Okay, let's check in on where we are in our journey. So we've gone from the origin story to our uniqueness is hidden or unknown, and now we're going to talk about the sidekick or the mentor. So everyone needs a sidekick or a mentor in their lives. I know I certainly do. Just need a friend sometimes, someone that we can really open up to. And the superhero looks to their sidekick or their mentor to realize their true nature, and then they share it with that trusted person. That person will encourage them to realize their superpowers and to heal from whatever was their terrible event. So here's some great sidekicks in superhero stories. Lois Lane for Superman, Robin for Batman, Aunt May for Spider-Man, although maybe sometimes some of the stories she doesn't know all of his superpowers. Pepper Potts for Iron Man, Obi-Wan Kenobi for Luke Skywalker. So in your notes, write down if you have somebody that you can share your superhero story with. And remember to pause if you need more time to write. Okay, let's talk about kryptonite. We all have things that can tempt us away from our true superhero selves. These can be bad habits, thinking patterns like always thinking negatively, or something that we do when we're triggered by the memory of a terrible event. So whatever it is, superheroes must recognize what it is, avoid it, or defeat it. So some examples of kryptonite might be using drugs or alcohol, or overeating, or doing things that are really risky because it feels great at the time. But all of those things have the potential for making us feel good in the moment, but then you feel twice as bad later on. So those are examples of kryptonite. Are you aware of your own kryptonite? Can you find things that support you instead of weaken you? Things that can support you to feel good but not weaken you later. It's a good way of looking at it. All right, now we're finally coming to our superpower being revealed. When we recognize our trauma, and then we stop hiding from ourselves or others, reach out for help, remember through our sidekick or mentor, and then we start to overcome our negative coping skills, that's our kryptonite, we begin to peel away at the things that are preventing us from realizing our superpowers, which are our true powerful selves. That's that moment when our superpowers are revealed. So write this down. If you had no fear, you had nothing that you needed to hide, if you felt on top of your worst habits, what would you be doing? That is what is your superpower. So when a superhero has realized their superpowers, they become ready to help others. That's usually the next step. And usually that's because they realize that their powers are for them, it helps them, but it also has the capacity to do some good in the world. So they find someone to help or save. Now, they may have to revisit their journey because sometimes the terrible event is still not healed, or their kryptonite creeps back in and threatens to take away their powers. But they are now stronger and more aware of when these things occur. So for you on your journey, you may have things pop up again. You may have to revisit where you are in your journey. But every time you go through it, you get stronger. You recognize, oh, that's my kryptonite, came and stole my power. So now that you realize your superpower, who would benefit from you fully owning and expressing it? Now, sometimes people will say, well, my power is I love to bake chocolate chip cookies. I make really good chocolate chip cookies, but so does everybody else. That's not the point. Superpowers are your unique expression of something that you love to do. And even if you're not great at it right now, you're on a path. And you are, every time you do that thing that you do, somehow is helping somebody else. Someone's going to eat your delicious chocolate chip cookie, for example. But oftentimes with superpowers, we don't even know how we're helping. We don't know if the cookie that you made that day changed someone's day, made their day better. Those are the ways in which when we put our superpowers together, we create a better world. And that's the point of superpowers, finding your unique contribution to making the world a great place. And it helps you because it feels good to do what you love to do and what you're good at. But it also helps the world. And you may not know exactly how, but your good deeds will always reverberate throughout the world somehow. That's just the way our world works, the way nature works. So let's review. So we had our origin story, but we overcome our past adversity. And we do that by revealing our secrets to ourselves, and then building relationships also with others that we can trust, who we can reveal who we really are and get guidance and support. Then we recognize what it is that is our kryptonite, our bad habits, especially the things that are related to our past and the secrets that we're keeping and making us feel bad. And after a lot of work and a lot of uncovering of who we are and what we really love and what's important to us, we become brave enough to claim whatever it is that is our unique powers. And then when we're ready, when we have enough to share, we turn around and help someone else with those powers. That is the superhero story. Because a person who realizes their unique gifts is a superhero. The journey of the superhero is the journey to resilience. It means that we can bounce back from whatever it was that was our adversity. Resilience is simply the capacity to meet adversity and grow from it. And we live in a world that is desperate for your particular superpowers. So let's look at the concept of resilience. Resilience is having a strategy to help you manage current adversity or traumatic events. So do you have a strategy or coping tools so that you can manage the stress or the trauma or the terrible event when it happens? Resilience is also having a set of preventative tools so you can avoid adversity and trauma and stay that way. So there are certain things that we can do that we call protective factors, things that protect us from further trauma. And then we always need to think about how we come to terms or heal from past traumas. Are you aware of the things that trigger you? Triggers are things that remind us of past traumas and we react to them as if they are happening now. Do you have ways that you can manage those triggers? Things that get you thinking about the past or thinking about things that make you feel bad. So the way that bounce back generation helps with that pathway or that map is through something we call the 6 building blocks for resilience. The 6 building blocks for resilience are something that we kind of think of as a bill of rights. These are things that we all need in our lives in order to manage our stress and to heal from it. If you'd like a little mini poster with the 6 building blocks for resilience, you can download it at bbgtv.org, which is our website, which offers lots of resources that can help you. And then finally, we have a little gift for you. This is a downloadable printable mini poster. All you have to do is email us at info@bouncebackgeneration.org and just tell us you would like the superhero poster. And it says, I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. And that's a quote from Superman. I hope you've enjoyed this community learning opportunities. We have upcoming CLOs, so like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. A little bit about us. Bounce Back Generation, or BBG, is a nonprofit made up of individuals who are learning and healing from adversity and post-traumatic experiences. We've been building and sharing our practical tools to build resilience since 2011. Our work is based on established science and tested theories. By the community for the community means we come from vulnerable and underserved communities and share our own experiences building resilience to improve our health, feel better, learn more from each other, and bounce back from hard times. Join us. We're on YouTube. We have a website, bbgtv.org. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Please subscribe to our channel and become part of our BBG community. Here are some sources and some resources if you'd like to learn more about the subjects we talked about today. And thank you for joining us.